Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Victory Loves Company podcast. I'm Conrad Agderian, and today is March 26th. And today I am joined by my good friend, David Cortes.
Hey
David,
guys.
say hello.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
David, thanks for coming on, my man.
Thank you for having me.
All right, bud. So why don't you tell everybody who don't know who the hell you are, who you are?
Okay. So, my name is David, about 29 years old, going to be 30 in 2 months, woo woo. But I was born in New York City, half raised there, half raised in New Jersey, planting my feet here, and just taking it day by day, see where this lovely ride takes me. I'm excited to do this today.
Is this your podcast debut?
This is my podcast debut. You're taking my V card.
Your P card.
My P card. My podcast V card. So I like it. It's cool. This is different.
That's awesome, dude.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. We known each other for a couple years,
Yep.
and I've had the pleasure of you working on my hair.
That is true.
Fabulous job, by the way. All right.
Thank you.
Shout out to...
and you were totally missed, by the way, as my client. You've been cheating on me, and I don't like it.
My hair has just been a complete mess. My hair is just a complete mess.
That's because you have stopped seeing me. This is what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you on. It's good to see you, bud.
Thanks for having me.
So the purpose of this podcast is I would like to bring to light some of misconceptions and some clarity and whatnot in the gay community and the gay dating scene and so on, and wanted to hear it from, obviously someone that, lives the life, and
Straight
is not afraid.
mouth.
That's it. And someone that's not afraid to, speak their mind, and someone that's clearly extroverted like yourself.
Very much so.
You're probably one of the most extroverted fucking people I
I
know.
am. For better or worse, I am pretty extroverted. I mean, I am definitely not shy by any means. I tell it how it is. Like I said, what you see is what you get, whether you like it or not.
Good.
And a lot of that has a lot to do with my upbringing and the time that I came out and the time that I decided that no one else's opinions were going to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. So in that respect, I started to live my life not caring,
Good for you.
I was going to do my thing, and you were either going to love it or hate it or both, but it is what it is,
Good for you.
Thanks.
When did you know that you didn't like women, or when you knew that you realized that you were gay? Was there a point in your life, or was there some kind of realization, or that triggered
Funny you
that
should ask
feeling?
question.
I'm sure you probably get asked that a lot.
I do. It's one of the most common questions that I get asked all the time. So to start out, I grew up in a very Hispanic household. My mother is super cool. My mother is probably my best friend right now.
It's always a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. However, I came from a family that had very cool and broad-minded family members. However, there were some really old roots in there. I was kind of raised with my grandmother. My mother, finished school. She was supposed to be a statistic, so to speak, because she had me so young. She fought and broke through every single barrier. And my grandmother was a really big helping hand. So I had my grandmother, strong Latin, very old school woman, as an influence in my life. And with that came a lot of fear. I was definitely more afraid of being who I was. I knew at an early age. I already knew.
What age?
Oh my God, I was probably like 8 years old when I knew that I just wasn't really attracted to women. I thought women were pretty.
Right.
I thought women, I had a lot of female role models in my life, so it wasn't a matter of not respecting women. I
just realized that it wasn't for you.
It just wasn't for me. Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt like there was something more to me. So, with that being said, I realized that I looked at a grown man. I'll never forget this day as long as I live. And I was like, that's attractive. And I kind of just put it in, and I put it in a compartment, and I stored it away because I was always taught it was man and woman. So there wasn't until I was 16 years old. I was trying to date women in high school. It was a disaster because I am very, for better or worse, a very emotional human being. I'm very romantic. And I was just actually speaking on this through social media that I used to apologize all the time for being a romantic, for wanting to go out on actual dates and wanting to treat somebody with a lot of love and affection, and it was always received so negatively.
Yeah, but why would you apologize for that? I mean, wouldn't people see that as like a plus?
You would think that. However, with this day and age, I really feel like I've been in a relationship for almost a decade. It's recently hit the rocks, and we are not together currently. Okay. But through this transition in the last decade, there has been a big social media boom. Okay, so it used to be you had to log onto a computer to be on Facebook. It was not available on a cell phone because we all had those sidekicks, and we had
the sidekicks
phones, and AIM was the big thing,
Motorola Razors.
I know we're really dating ourselves here, but then social media became part of an application that was on your cell phone or your cellular device. With that came Instagram. After that, shortly followed Snapchat, and then after that, it spilled onto dating applications. So your Tinder, in the gay world, there's Grindr, there's Scruff, there's all this other stuff, but they're less for dating. They were probably designed to date for dating, but it geared more towards sex. Sex became way too easy to get. And
so they were mostly hookup apps.
Absolutely.
They were just really.
But let's be honest, who uses Tinder to date?
Well, if you do, you're going to get Tinder quality, right?
Exactly.
No, I got you. All right,
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be for relationships, but
Correct.
it ends up just kind of being like a one or a two-nighter. And
One or two nighter, more like a, hey, 5 minutes from now I'm going to be 50 feet away, so why don't we hook up? That's what it's turned into.
That's what I tell Gina all the time. I said, a two-pump chump.
So good.
I'm sorry, go on.
No. So, being romantic. So with that being said, girls in high school are not interested in that. Very few of them were. It was too much. It was overbearing. These are the things that I was told I was too nice. And then
is this as a boyfriend or as a friend?
I got friend zoned constantly because I was this chubby thing. So with that being said, I kind of took it as a sign, and I was like, okay, maybe the girl thing is not working. Though I find women very pretty and beautiful, maybe I should explore this other side of me that I put into a compartment. So then this is when MySpace was around. I'm dating myself yet again.
MySpace.
But MySpace was around, and that's where I met the first guy ever to make me look twice. And I sparked up a conversation, went on the messenger, and I was like, hey, you're really cute. Would love to see you. I had zero business being on MySpace at 16 years old talking to a 19-year-old man. However, that's kind of how that worked out. Met him in the city, went on a date. I thought it was more obviously because I was an innocent, naive 16-year-old boy. But it was a learning experience to this day. We're still friends. I talk to him constantly. He's actually given me plenty of advice to any other endeavors I've had as far as a relationship is concerned. He's one of the only people that I actually still talk to that weren't like a long-term kind of thing.
So you're 16. What drew you to him?
Drew me to what?
To him.
To him?
To the jump, yeah.
Oh my God, his denim blue eyes. I'm a sucker
for blue eyes.
Sucker for blue eyes and dark hair, man. Let me tell you.
All right, guys, you listening? All right.
Yeah, no, seriously. Blue eyes were definitely my kryptonite.
Okay.
And like I said, I met him in the city. We went on a date. It was really innocent too. We went and got some Starbucks. Hung out, went down to down by the Henry Hudson where the pier is, and just kind of walked all along and got to know each other, and that was it. Nothing too special, but I obviously thought it was more because I was so young. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until that life-shattering moment that I realized this dating thing was going to be a lot fucking harder than I thought it was going to be.
It's never easy, dude. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It's gonna suck.
Exactly.
It's gonna suck.
It's gonna suck. People like to play a lot of games, and that's just how humans are built. It's even worse now. You didn't really have the luxury of knowing where everybody was at every single moment of time because, social media wasn't really around at that point. Now you can pretty much plug your friends into your Find My iPhone app or something. What is it called? Find Friends? You can locate anybody that you want,
Using GPS technology.
Exactly. I mean, it's a little creepy and stalkerish, and I would totally be turned off if anybody ever tried to do that to me. However, it's done.
Yeah, but you know what? As you get older, you start to mature. Like when you're young, you're thinking with your little head. You don't. Yeah, all logic just goes completely out the window.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you get older, you start to mature. You realize, well, this is who I am. This is what I like, and that's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
I
agree. Yeah, currently single. Made a huge life decision. There was a lot of things that had forced my hand. A lot of heartache, a lot of crying, a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling. and a lot of...
It is what it is, dude. It is what it is.
Exactly. It is what it is. You know, I was young. I was 21. It was that one spark that I needed at that time, you know? And he was great to me for so many years, and we had our issues, and we worked through a lot of them. But unfortunately, what ends up happening is the excuses get really tired, and you grow really, really tired of the nonsense. The older that you get, now that I'm almost 30 years old, I crave more stability and quiet and peace.
As you should at that age.
Exactly.
Yeah, as you should, because you're not 19 anymore.
Exactly. Not that I'm boring by any means. I like to travel, and I like to eat at really good restaurants, and I like to, you know, on a beautiful summer day, I might want to go into the city and walk around, and, you know, with my big old shades and my tank top and my shorts and my Converse, and just rock out with some Starbucks and like see what's around. There's so much culture around. But yeah, the same things that interested me at 19 do not, or 21 in my instance. I am very adamant about not making the same mistakes that I made previously.
Well, as long as you learn from them, right?
I learned from every single one.
Well, it was a 10-year lesson, a life lesson,
Absolutely.
but you can use that and apply it to your future relationship.
Absolutely.
You know, and make that guy happy, and then you go off into the sunset. You know what I mean?
Whoever he is.
Yeah, whoever he is, dude. Good for you, man. Good for you.
Man.
You brushed briefly on the dating scene. My question has always been the contrast between heterosexual and homosexual dating scenes.
Okay.
I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, that there are more hookups in a homosexual community than heterosexual because of the lack of pregnancy or pregnancy scares. Is that true, or am I just whistling Dixie out of my ass?
So it's adorable that you think it's true, but it's not. What I've experienced, I have my best childhood friend that I've known since the first grade, and we always end up, you know, regrouping and seeing each other. He lives in Jersey now, which makes everything a lot easier, and you know, he is straight, and he tells me about his struggles all the time. You know, my previous relationship, I gained a brother in that relationship, and Chris went through a long-term relationship while I was with my ex, and then broke up with her, and I saw him go through the whole dating thing. And what I learned is that straight people and gay people really aren't much different.
No, they're all the same problems. You argue. You're trying to find a place together. It's very, very similar.
I just feel like when it comes to the hookup culture that has taken dating by storm, it's gotten way too easy. Too
easy for what? Too easy to hook up?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's way too easy to hook up now. There is no challenge, which is the big problem. Now, is that a rule or a law? I'm sorry, is that a law? No, it's not a law. It's definitely a rule that is definitely broken.
Right.
What I mean by that is there are groups of gay men, and though it might seem few and far between because we might be a little bit more upfront about our shit, we're not doing anything differently than a heterosexual man or female would do.
Yeah, all the problems are the same, dude.
They're the
all
same.
The problems
everybody wants to feel some sort of affection or connection, whether it's 5 minutes, you know, worth, or it ends up being a week or two of dating, or a month or two, or 6 months, or a year, or 10 years, you know? We're all looking for that person that we're going to want to be around. So when it comes to the hookup culture, the reason why it's perceived like we're more promiscuous, I think, my opinion, this is not fact, it's just my opinion, is that, you know, we have a big old gay pride parade, and it's televised now, and we're seen at, you know, we have, you know, women, lesbians running around with tape on their nipples and their tits all out, and, you know, in a thong or whatever it is that they're in, or they might be in a wife beater and jeans, you know? Same thing with gay men. We might be in a jockstrap, or we might be in a tank top and shorts. People choose to express themselves on that day or in that weekend very differently, you know? But it's a little bit more in your face because it's televised, it's on social media. There are pictures everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
Where I feel like, you ever see the movie Cruel Intentions?
Of course.
Remember when Catherine goes, Cecile, everybody does it, but nobody talks about it. That's what it's like.
Well, what did she say? Secret society.
Secret society.
Yeah, secret
right.
society.
So it's like a secret society. It's, you know, I feel like straight people are just a little less in your face about it. It's not as broadcasted because it's not televised. There's no special parade for straight people.
Yeah, we don't have a straight guy parade.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I should lobby for one, but yeah.
So I mean, but now with social media, I mean, like, I look at the disasters every day. You know, I see it all the time. Like, wow, like, did you not look at like proof? Look at that. Like, did you not see that? You know, like, girlfriend, I can see your underwear.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Or like, hey, dude, like, you didn't zip up your fly, your wang's out. Like, you know, like, it happens more often than not. That's why you have to be super careful what you decide to post on the internet, because it'll follow you for the rest of your life.
That's true.
So the difference between the hookup culture really isn't much. There isn't much of a difference between the hetero and homosexual lifestyle. I find that it's, again, way too easy these days. You know, not that you have to be super prude about it, or you have to, you know, be so conservative. I mean, just dial it back a notch. It'll make things a little bit easier, I think, in the long run, as far as the type, you know, people finding what they're looking for a little bit easier, and it'll create that kind of like that barrier or that line, that fine line in the sand.
Okay.
Okay.
This is a question that, and again, this could be due to my arrogance. All right.
Go for it.
But I'm not. Just to clarify,
No,
right?
of course not.
This is why I brought you on, because I want you to clarify.
We
right?
wouldn't be friends otherwise.
I asked Gina. Right.
Yeah.
So from a heterosexual standpoint,
Okay.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
there's different brackets of
Okay.
where to find a partner.
Okay.
Bottom rung, Tinder.
Yeah.
If you want, who the fuck goes on Tinder to find a husband or a wife, right? I mean,
nobody.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but that's not the first place that you
It can
head.
happen, but it's not starting off that
No,
way.
you don't start that. When you hit Tinder, you get Tinder quality.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yep.
I'm sure there's a couple of rungs that I'm probably missing as far as hookup apps or whatever.
Absolutely.
So then we'll move into something more mainstream.
Okay.
The bar scene.
Okay.
A little more debatable. Some people will swear by it. Some
Okay.
people will say it's only good for a one or a two nighter.
I'm one of those people that'll swear by it, actually.
It's fun, but that's totally fine.
Go
okay.
on. Yep.
And then moving up the rung, you want something to settle down with.
Sure.
You hit like a Barnes and Noble, you hit a library, you hit a bookstore.
Okay.
Some guys are into that, some girls are into that.
Some people are.
I'm just throwing it out there. You can disagree with me; it's your heart's content.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Okay.
Got it.
From a women's standpoint, I have heard that Home Depot or Lowe's is where you can find a guy, because the guy is there. It's a warehouse full of testosterone.
That's very true.
And
If you ever want to catch a woman in heat, you go to Home Depot.
all right, as long as Gina doesn't know. I realized I had to pick up some lumber. And,
I cannot. I'm
So, all right. So anyway, that arrogant hierarchy that I made. That being said,
Okay.
to find a quality gay partner,
Okay.
how would you go about doing it? Now I know you like the bar scene.
I do.
but I'm sure you probably have your hierarchy as well.
So here's the deal with that. So as far as the bar scene is concerned, I think it's a little bit easier if you want to find something for everybody. You can definitely take somebody home after the bar and let it be a one-night thing. I think communication is key with that kind of thing. Fellas, do not lead somebody on. If you're looking to just fuck, then just let them know. Chances are they're down, but don't make them believe that you're looking for something a little bit more, because you never know what someone else is going through. Other than that, I've met plenty of long-term relationships in a bar. Going out with my friends, not really looking for anything, just looking to go out and have fun, dance. What makes it so much easier is that we're all in one place. You go to a gay bar, it's all gay people for the most part, one or two straight guys, a few straight girls. But for the most part, I will find what I'm looking for if I go
in that
to
community, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I met plenty of people: cops, Marines, Navy, firefighters, lawyers, doctors. I've met waiters. I've met everybody at a gay bar, because that's where we go to have fun. Not to say that that's the only place that I've met people. I've been hit on in some of the weirdest places, and I kind of have to laugh about it, because the pickup lines have not gotten any better.
Now you got to humor me.
Oh
now.
my gosh, I can't even tell you, like, the most ridiculous things that people have. Just like the approach, it's, they'll ask me something real, and I'm gullible and I'm stupid when it comes to those things. I don't really see it for what it is. And they'll spark up a conversation about anything around me, hoping to God that I have interest in whatever they're pointing out. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, like, this is totally, like, this is awesome. Like, this is great toothpaste, and they're like, oh, so, like, are you seeing anybody? And I'm like, oh, that's what this was. Got it. So, I think that the biggest thing is, and a lot of people probably will agree with me if I ask them, is my confidence. I go out and I have a certain level of confidence anytime I go out. I go out and I could be in sweatpants, sweatshirt, and my hair is not done. I have a backwards cap on, but I'll still walk with the level of confidence. My chest is up and I'm going. And
Good.
that's what people find sexy. Confidence is really, really, really sexy. Whether you're gay, straight, undecided, it doesn't matter. Chances are someone will find you attractive if you make them believe that you are put together or whatever the case is.
I agree. You can convince most people of almost anything. If you say it with confidence.
Fake it until you make it. I can't even stress it. I can't. When my mother told me a long time ago, and I'll never forget this day and then the day that followed after that, she told me one day that looks fade and that I would not get by on just my looks alone and my charm. And then I said, okay, I believe you.
What's the saying? Beauty fades and stupidity is forever.
Stupidity is forever.
Yeah, okay.
Right, but she wanted me to go to college and do all these things,
Yeah.
and I wasn't about that.
Yeah.
I knew that I wanted to work in something a little bit more creative, which is why I became a hairdresser.
A damn good one at that.
A damn good one.
Yeah.
But before that, I was in retail and I was in sales, and you have to have a certain level of charm. And let me tell you, while people were killing themselves, racking up a ton of student loan debt, I was making hand over fist money like you would not believe.
Good for you.
And the reason for that was my charisma and my charm and my decent looks. I don't think I'm like God's gift to women or men.
Well, you got the trifecta going, Dave.
Exactly. So it's funny because once I was making money and I was and I was on my own and I was doing my thing for 10 years, and I will never forget, it was around the holiday season and I got everybody what they wanted for Christmas, and I didn't even bat an eyelash. Like, I had money to spend.
Nice.
And I got her what she wanted, and it was this whole thing, and she looked at me and she goes, wow, you're doing really well. And I was like, I told you I do really, really well with these good looks and charms though. And it was kind of like an FU, like, hey, literally it is like the life proof that you can do whatever the hell you want, as long as you have a little bit of confidence to do it, borderline cockiness, and you believe you can. Like, let's take a look at Cardi B. Perfect example. From the Bronx, Latina, a ratchet stripper, and who is she now? She is doing her thing, making records. It may not be your taste in music, but let me tell you, she's collaborating with different artists like Bruno Mars. Who doesn't love Bruno Mars? Everyone loves Bruno Mars. And she's doing it, and
Right.
she took herself from the ground and built up an empire because she believed she could. And that's what I mean by
she believed in herself, just like you believed in yourself.
Exactly.
You had a great support system.
Exactly.
Your mother believed in you.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
the bottom line is you were able to produce results.
Yep.
Right?
Pretty much.
As you just mentioned, you're making hand over fist a shit ton of cash, right?
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So
And even when I wasn't, I still put up the attitude like I was.
to believe in yourself at that
It's gotten me laid once or
at
twice.
that level, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Confidence, though, I am full agreement with you there. So, what was your first relationship like?
Oh boy. Okay. So first relationship.
How about first non-serious relationship?
Non-serious relationship,
So,
okay.
so we'll start young and we'll work our way upwards.
I touched a little bit on that before. Met him when I was 16 years old, and he was a 19-year-old college kid. Like, what you remember what you were like at 19 years old? You were trying to fuck everything that walked.
It's a big ball of testosterone, ball of hormones.
Listen, the wind can blow. It just wasn't taken very seriously on his end, and I was like, a week into it, and I was 16, so I was, painting a whole portrait of what I wanted my life to look like. And then from there, I kind of learned. I was like, okay, so this is the way that it is, I need to really do the whole dating thing if I'm going to figure out what I do want and what I don't want out of a lifelong kind of thing or a serious kind of thing. From there went the tumbleweeds, they start really small and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It was like a snowball effect. Right.
Yep.
Of me just dating. I had to really,
like, figuring out who you were, what you liked, shit like that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I had no idea who I was. I was so young. I dated hard, man. I became so hardened. It was the next phase of that was me. I became a cheerleader in high school, and one of the girls was like, "Hey, I have a cousin. He's gay." They did the whole thing. Oh, I know so and so, and I'm like, oh, I saw him at the last meeting. Like, it was one of those situations, and I was like, oh, I'll meet him. Like, no big deal. And I remember again, sucker for blue eyes. The kid had blue eyes, and I was like, oh, I like this one. So we started hanging out. I was 17 years old. I did not know how bad this kid was for me until way later on. We dated for almost a year, so my entire senior year of high school. I mean, he just turned out to be one of the shadiest people that I probably know today. But that is what molded me into the person that I am today. Through that heartbreak, because that was at the time my most serious relationship, almost a year of my time,
Yeah, but you learned something from that. Did you
Oh,
not?
did I not? Did I learn something? Wait, first, let's get into it a little bit more. I was still kind of innocent at the time, and
Should I put innocent in quotes, David?
Yeah, put it in quotes. I was very innocent at the time.
Yeah.
Very much innocent at the time, and he took that and he used it to his advantage, and I vowed to never again go through this bullshit again. So what I did was I was working at the tanning salon in the next town over, 18 years old at the time. And I remember this guy came in and he was like, oh, hey, you should come out. My boyfriend's a promoter. You should come out to this nightclub. And I was like, nightclub? And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm 18. I can do that now. And I was like, absolutely. So I called one of my friends and I was like, yo, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. I'm like, great. We're going to the city. And I got us on a guest list, and we're free. And, all the enticing things when you're 18 years old.
Nice.
And I remember walking into this place, and I had watched a TV show on Showtime, and it was about the gay culture, and it was very popular. And most people that are listening now that are gay, or even straight for that matter, probably know the show that I'm talking about. But it was Queer as Folk, and I remember walking into this nightclub. It was Splash nightclub in Manhattan, and I walked in and I go, "Oh my God, it exists! This is real." There were beautiful men everywhere. It was just a lot of like house music and club music, and
was that like your Mecca?
My awakening is what that was.
When you find the perfect
it was exactly like the gates of heaven opened up. It was like, oh my God, like this is real. And
so you weren't exposed to that type of community prior because of your age.
This was completely uncharted territory for me. And I remember I had buzzed hair because I didn't want to deal with my hair at the time, and I was a skinny little thing. And I walked in and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is actually going to work. And I had a blast my first night, and I remember.
So you were sucked in immediately, man.
Oh, sucked in immediately.
So you had the bug.
So wait, let me get to that. So there's a whole story with this. So there is a box that can fit maybe one, maybe two people if you squeeze on it, but it's a box that's like kind of like your own personal stage, and there are 3 of them, and I see these beautiful men in underwear dancing. They're go-go dancers, and I was like, how do I do that?
What, get in the box?
Get on the box.
Okay.
So I'm outside having a cigarette. I remember being outside without my shirt on. One of the promoters comes up to me and goes, oh my God, you're really beautiful. You should come work for me. And I go, funny you should say that because I wanted to work here. That started an entire chapter of my life. But that is exact. I had to thank my ex that completely did me dirty my senior year of high school, because without that heartbreak, I would have never had the courage to do what I did the years to come afterwards.
Well, don't look at it as a mistake, dude. I mean,
no, it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, no,
I thank him.
Yeah, because he shaped you to who you are. It opened up a world of opportunities. And
my God,
and you got
insane.
the club bug or whatever the fuck. So
it was a bug that lasted. I want to say a good. To see, I started at 18 and did not stop till I was 21. So it was a whole different world. I traveled. I did a lot of things just in that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And again, hand over fist money that I made.
Good for you.
It was good. It was a fun time.
So the whole thing spanned from you just going outside and having a cigarette without your shirt on.
That was all it took.
Was it at least warm out?
Yeah, it was June, right after graduation, and I'll never forget it. He was like, "Oh, you want to work here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he took my arm and he twirled me around, and he was like, "Wow, you're really hot. You can definitely do this." And I was like, "Okay." And he's like, "Why don't you come next week?" So I call our good friend, and I was like, hey, you have to come with me because you're the only person my mother trusts. Now, I'm 18 years old at this point. However, my mother would have flipped her lid if I told her, hey, Mom, I'm going to go work in a New York City nightclub. That would not have flown. It was definitely something that was kept very much secret for a long time. I eventually told my mother, in a very muted version of that story, what I had been doing for a couple of months. And, What
did you tell her? I mean, obviously you didn't come out and say this is what I'm doing. You give her the watered down version.
Well, so I was like, hey, I'll never forget. We were going to Garden State Plaza, and finally it became 2 men. This is a year later, by the way.
She didn't like.
Did not know for a year.
Okay.
And I go, hey, remember that show that we watched on Showtime? She goes, yeah. And I go, remember those dancers that were on the boxes? She goes, yeah. And I go,
did she know where it was going at that point?
Oh, she totally knew.
All right.
So I go, so what if I told you that I got a job dancing on a box for a living? And she goes, in what? And I go, oh, nothing. Like, just like little shorts. Yeah.
Nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
And she's like, well, that's not what I want for you. And I'm like, well, no, clearly this isn't what I want for me.
Yeah. But
this is something fun that I'd like to do, and I think it would be really great for my confidence. And I gave her the guilt trip. I'm like, what I went through with my ex, and she goes, really, you're gonna go there?
but you knew it was temporary, though, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you knew it was temporary, but you were just looking to get all your yayas out, and just kind of get it all out of your system and whatnot.
This is something that you definitely cannot retire on. I mean, I know plenty of men that they make their life about this, the fitness life and the staying in shape and eating right. That way they can prolong this, because there is money to be made in it. But, it wasn't what I wanted to do. It was something temporary that would pay my bills and do what I had to do while I was figuring it out. And it worked.
But you had fun doing it, though.
Oh,
so it was a double whammy. Yeah, you were making cash.
So much fun.
And you were having fun.
And let me tell you, I was not making a lot of money in the beginning. I had to completely change my outside appearance. Though I was cute, I was not considered sexy and hot. And it was a rude awakening for me, But I climbed up. I went from making a measly $6 my first night, $6, you heard that right, to making hundreds in a night and doing nothing for it, A lot of people are like, oh, what did you have to do for that? I had to do nothing. I stood there and looked really fucking pretty.
Well, that was your job.
I worked at it, exactly.
Your job was to stand there and look pretty.
Right. And, my best night to this day was I made a little under $2,000. And that was for 3 hours worth of work. And, again, didn't do anything but dance on a box in my underwear doing what I wanted to do at the time. So
what's the difference between being cute, which clearly you are.
Oh, thank you.
And being sexy, which you obviously are.
Oh my God.
Would you have to hit the tanning booth more? Do you have to hit the gym? How does that work?
So I was, I did not want to hit a gym. I worked out at home like crazy. I changed all of my eating habits and
you do push-ups and sit-ups and shit like that?
Push-ups, sit-ups, diamond push-ups. Those kind of home workouts that you can do. And I was also 19 at this point. So guess what? I could do that little and get results the way I wanted to. Not slaving away for 3 hours a day at the gym like I do now. But
yeah, but you were in good shape to begin with, though. You mentioned earlier that you were kind of like a little slender. I mean, you're still fucking slender now. You know what I mean? You're in great shape.
Actually, Conrad, you would be surprised if I told you how much I weighed.
I probably would, because I always suck at guessing.
214 pounds is what I weigh right now.
Yeah, but how tall are you, though? You're
6'3".
That's not
for
not bad.
Anyone listening out there. No, but 214, and you know what? I have so much more work to do. I let myself go for a long time. I was happy, and I was in a relationship, and I was told, and I believed that I would be loved no matter what size I was, or what body type I was, or how much flab I had or didn't have, or whatever it was. It didn't matter. I would always be loved, and I believed it wholeheartedly.
Well, it's true for anybody, though.
Right. And it's just you learn that no matter how much someone tells you, babe, I love you just the way you are, in their back of their mind, though they might actually believe that, they would prefer you to be in better shape or more healthy. I want that for anybody that I end up with. I want you to be healthy. I don't want you winded walking up a flight of stairs. I want you to be able to walk up a flight of stairs and walk with me on that,
And not be breathing.
Right. Heavily. And, obviously, who doesn't love a tight body in a bed? That's always a little bit more
we're
preferable.
We're very visual. You know what I mean?
Very much so.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that if I establish a connection, I wouldn't feel some sort of, arousal from it. It's a touchy subject, and nobody ever wants to talk about this, which is why I don't give a shit. I'm going to talk about it. But, at the end of the day, yes, I'll love you at 200 pounds, but guess what? I prefer if you were 160 and fucking built. It's always been my preference. But as long as you're showing me that you're trying, that's what matters to me.
All right, so let's backtrack a little bit. We talked about how you came out a little bit. But how was it perceived? I know you were very close with your mother, but how did your friends and your immediate family and whatnot perceive you actually like officially coming out?
Okay, so my coming out story is pretty much, so it might be a little different. You know, I know a lot of people that have had it a lot harder than I did, though it wasn't easy. A little backstory. So my mother's a twin, and her twin sister is a lesbian, and so my mother dealt with the 90s backlash of people coming out. It wasn't as accepted as it was in the 2000s and even now, you know, or the early 2000s rather, and now. My mother was affected by the way that it affected her twin sister, and my mother didn't want that life for me. So when I came out, it wasn't that my mother wasn't accepting of it. It wasn't that she loved me less because of it. It was that she didn't want me to go through the same things that her twin sister did.
Because she went through it, and she
because
didn't want
she
that
went
for
through
you.
it. Exactly. And I understood it. Did my mother go about it in the right way? Absolutely not. You know, and part of that was because she realized, trial and error, I guess, that I was 16, 17 years old, and I was not into someone my age group. And the reason for that was the maturity level of it all. I didn't want to deal with somebody in high school because I didn't want it to be this puppy love thing, and I wanted to know what it was like to date a man. So I went for guys that were, 18, 19, 20, 21. Older. She hated it. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how many times she threatened, though she was never going to follow through with it, to have them, arrested or something like that. But she hated it. And I told her she had no choice, that I was going to date who I wanted, that I consented to it, and I knew what I was getting myself into, and she could only sit back and just watch.
She give you any advice?
No, she didn't give me any advice. The one advice that she gave me, actually, that's a lie. She gave me advice. So the one advice that she gave me was when she continuously asked me if I was sexually active, and I told her no, which was the truth at the time. And then finally she asked me at a random point, and it was after I had turned 17, and I was like, well, yeah. And she goes, oh, okay. And then that weekend, she went into the village. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. She went into the village, and there is a condom store in the village, I swear on a stack of Bibles, called Condomania. And she filled up a black shopping bag full. I don't know who's having that much sex, because those things come with like expiration dates. But she wanted me to know that she supported it, and that she wanted to make sure that I was having the most safe sex as humanly possible.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
I was like, oh my God. Take it a step further. She got me flavored ones. Didn't know if I liked bananas, strawberry, chocolate, so she got me all of them. Yeah. And then a whole bunch of other ones, because she didn't, obviously she's my mother. She's like, I don't know what size you are, so I just got you everything, And I'm like, oh, great, thanks, because this isn't awkward at all, Yeah,
I know. that was nice of her.
That was really sweet of her. It was one of my more funny haha moments with my mom. As far as my friends are concerned, my friends were great. Not one of them turned their back on me. Not one of them made me feel like I was less worthy of a friendship.
Well, a true friend wouldn't.
Right, but I mean, come on. Again, we're 16, 17 years old at this point. We don't know any better, and you don't know how open someone's going to be. And I cried all the time, because I was scared. I was scared to lose my friends. I had just gotten my friends. I had a very lonely childhood, and I had just gotten the group of friends that I had. So the thought of losing any of my friends scared the shit out of me.
So the group of friends that you had, they were they kind of knew you before you came out a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yep.
And then when you came out, you had that anxiety of like, I'm probably going to lose them as friends.
Correct.
But the reality was, nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. They're just like, all right.
In reality, they chuckled and told me like we didn't know.
Yeah. Well, that's true in a lot of cases, though.
Like we didn't know, and I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, but now that it's all out in the open, you're cool, and they're like, yeah. And then there's still that anxiety. Well, they're saying that to my face, but what happens when I call them the next day? The fact that I was accepted with open arms and it didn't matter. And in fact, my life got easier after I came out of the closet. The whole elephant in the room was gone at that point.
Well, you had nothing really to protect or to hide at that point.
Nothing.
Now you're able to be yourself, and you don't have that anxiety of
absolutely
performing.
Yep,
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not pretending to be something that I wasn't. So if I could give any advice to anybody, whether you're younger, older, undecided, or you need that little extra boost, like the people that are going to be in your life for the rest of your life, your friends, your family, you don't get to choose your family, but you get to choose your friends who are like family. And those people, those very few real people that you're going to have in your life, those are the people that are not going to care. And they're going to love you regardless.
Well, my old saying was always, I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather keep it more tight-knit.
Oh my God, my circle is super tight.
Yeah, of good friends rather than having a shit ton of just acquaintances or people
Absolutely.
that will just kind of take it at face value on the surface. So, I can totally sympathize with that.
Absolutely.
So. All right. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything we missed? Anything you want to go back over?
There's only one really, real question that I have for you. And, I see your life and how happy you are. How happy you and your wife make each other. And my only question is, and I want anybody listening now to really see or to hear how possible it is, because through this whole dating culture and this hookup culture, you lose hope so much. And I want to know, what's the formula, because I'm sure there are plenty of people that want to know what makes for a happy life.
Jesus, you got all fucking philosophical on me. I was bracing myself for the question because you started out low. I thought you were going to ask me so have you ever done anal before? I was waiting for that.
No, that's for a totally different podcast.
Jesus Christ. All right, you caught me off guard with the fucking philosophical question here. All right,
let it come from the heart. That's where it's going to come from.
All right,
most honestly and organically.
There's no cookie cutter approach.
Of course not.
All right,
gotta make it boring.
I know that's a generic thing to say, but it'll happen when you're busy making other plans.
Okay.
I forgot what the exact John Lennon quote was,
right.
But it's life happens when you're busy making plans.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck he said. Look, I wasn't looking. She wasn't looking.
Right.
And I had no expectations going into it.
Right.
It just kind of happened. A lot of it I chalk up to luck. I feel like that's such a cop-out to say that it's luck, because it's not really luck, because you make your own decisions.
Okay.
If you don't like something,
right,
you will either make the best of it,
okay,
by going in that direction, or going in the opposite direction.
Right.
So to say you're lucky because you found love. No. I'm not lucky because I found love. I am fortunate that I found love because this is the person that I chose to stay with.
Right.
And this is the avenue that I chose to travel with.
Okay.
You're so lucky you have a successful business, or you're lucky because you're able to have a 6-figure income and you're able to. I said, no, dude. I said, I'm not lucky. I said, I worked my ass off.
Yeah.
How many sleepless fucking nights did I have worrying because I wanted to improve my situation?
Right.
Now, while I'll admit there's a little bit of luck in there, but it's not.
No.
It's sweat equity. It's being in the right place at the right time, and I firmly believe that.
Right.
To take it back to my girl, I was this close to saying no because she called me and she's like, hey, I'm having an OC, I'm having an open crib. Bring your friend.
Gina.
No.
Having an open crib.
No, Gina wasn't having an open crib.
Oh, you said. Oh, your friend.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She was having.
I was so confused. I was like, Gina.
No, I didn't know who she was at that point.
Oh, okay.
I'm coming out of my night class and she calls me and she's like, I'm having an OC. She's like, you want to come? And I'm on the fence about it because I was really tired.
Yeah.
I had fucking class the next day. It was a Thursday. It was a Thursday night. I'm like, all right, fine. So I call my drinking buddy at the time because I was 21.
Okay.
And get kind of shit faced and just get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And I'm like, yeah. So we go over there, and she's and she told me that she was bringing a friend, and then the friend was Gina. Never met her before.
Okay.
She knew all of my friends.
Okay.
That surrounded me.
Yeah.
She knew the areas that I papered. I knew some of her friends.
Okay.
And the areas that she papered. We never fucking crossed paths. The circle was always, the two circles never lined up. I show up at her house. And she's sitting there, and I immediately thought that she was cute. And then she opened her mouth, and I thought she was a bitch. And I said, that's how it starts. Yeah, she thought I was cute and all this other nonsense, but it was kind of a cat and mouse game for a couple of weeks. I couldn't really read her that well. Mm-hmm. She was playing hard to get, even though she would argue that point. But I felt, as a gentleman, she wasn't giving me the signals that I needed to move forward. I thought she was just kind of...
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I thought she was cute, but if she said she wasn't interested, I wouldn't have took it personally.
Right.
But evidently, my friend was doing reconnaissance work, and he says, oh, dude, this chick is into you. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you got to come over here. Like two girls. So he's like, no, come over to my house. He's like, no, look at the conversation I had with her. And he's like showing me. I'm like, really? I'm like, you really think this would make sense? I was playing a show at the time, and there was another chick that was in my class that liked me. And I thought she was, whatever. She was like a strong 7. So I'm like, all right, that's another...
Strong 7's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. So, and I totally don't fucking remember her name. Not that that's important at this point.
No, not at all.
But
completely,
yeah, she was
completely irrelevant.
She was a strong 7.
Yeah.
And Gina was like a soft 9.
Yeah.
Because she was bitchy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, if she was too nice, I would kind of consider that a turn off. It's like, all right, what's her problem?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is she too quick?
Right.
Does she have daddy issues?
Yeah.
Which he was giving me intel. I was kind of like, all right, well, now I have one up on her, so now I know how to play the game. And it just slowly morphed into, I'm going to call you, you call me, hey, do you want to hang out? Let's hang out. So we go out, we hang out, we go down by Edgewater, we bullshit over there, and I drop him off. And of course, then the anxiety starts to build up. I'm like, all right, should I really ask her?
Yeah.
And I pull in front of her house, which is actually my house now.
Yeah.
So I just take her hands. I'm like, yeah, listen, we have a special relationship, and what do you say? We kind of we seal this, and we have the world's most fucking awkward kiss right there in my fucking Chevy fucking Lumina or whatever I was driving at the time. It was terrible, and I know I totally went off on a fucking tangent here.
You did. So I gathered from it was that you really just kind of took the steps, and this is really important. This is what I wanted to touch on was that you took the necessary steps to do the right thing, and it paid off. Look at the life.
But again, those are all decisions, dude, that I willingly made,
right?
Consciously made.
Right.
If there was something I didn't like, I would have been a ghost. You know what I mean? Now, I totally understand and respect the fact that people will make mistakes. They get into shitty relationships, and it corrupts them, and then it taints their opinion on other people and other guys or the girls. I totally understand that, but the bottom line is it's not really so much about how many times you've fallen, but how many times you're going to pick yourself up. Amen. Let's change it. Now let's change the scenario a little bit.
Okay.
Me and her, we dated for close to like 8 years before we decided to kind of make things official. Okay. Even at the end of that 8 years, if I saw that things were kind of starting to take a turn for the worse, and look, don't get me wrong, we've had our hardships. You know, the father went through, a major medical thing. The mother has got MS. It's not easy. It's not easy. If things got cut off at the end of that 8 years, I would turn around and have zero regrets about it. Because you know what I did? I would look at it as, number one, what did I learn in this 8 years that I can apply to future relationships? And that's how I looked at this. I would have taken that life lesson and I would have applied it to the future Mrs. Conrad. Okay. And so it's a new and improved, enhanced version of myself. It's not that I want people to understand that, like, this is what I have. Like, I have a great girl, I have a great business, I'm healthy for the most part. Things that you kind of work towards. Mm-hmm. It's not so much that I want people to understand that I have that. I want people to understand that it's not easy. No. If that makes any sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's not like, oh, look at me, because I'm not a flashy kind of dude. I mean, look at the fucking way I'm dressed. I look homeless.
We'll talk about that when we're not on the podcast.
I need your advice. So, where the fuck is I going with this? Oh no, so it's again, it's not so much what you have. It's like I want people to understand that the struggle is real, and that
so real.
Yeah, and to get where you are is not easy. It's not so much that this is what I have, but it's like this is what I had to do to get what I have. You know those fucking motivational posters that they have, like they have the iceberg, and at the top of the iceberg it'll say success, and then everything under the water it's like hard
that
work.
You don't see are the things that build you to be where you are.
Those things are 100% true, man.
Absolutely.
Because people will look at me and they will immediately judge. This person that, shit handed to him, or, he hasn't shaved in 7 days, or he wears clothes that's fucking 10 years old. He must be homeless. Like, people judge, but they don't know the backstory. And I think it's unfair for people to judge a story by opening up a random page in a book and reading a random sentence and saying, I don't like the story, and then closing the book.
I was telling you before, even, on and off this podcast, I'm rebuilding.
Yeah. As you should. You're a young guy.
It's not even about the relationship at this point. It's the fact that I did all of the wrong things and I rely too much on another person to help me.
But that's the emotion, dude.
And
there's no logic.
It was a crutch. It was more of a crutch than anything. And I realized that I didn't show up the way that I should have. Mm-hmm. And that's the mistake that I made. The relationship wasn't a mistake. The relationship helped me love for 8 years. where I am at now remarkable to me. You know, I didn't sit there and I didn't wallow for months. I wallowed for a couple of days and a few weeks even. You know, I'm talking like, you know...
Yeah, but you should though, man.
Candy
You
wrappers
gotta-
on the floor, like Grey's Anatomy and Vampire Diaries in the background, sobbing hysterically.
With the pillow.
With the pillow, okay? and then I looked and I said, you know what, this is not the end for me.
Yeah.
And
It's the start of
I
something
picked
new.
myself up.
Yeah.
And I brushed myself off, and it started with being in a healthy work environment. And I found great people that I consider my mentors that I work for. I work for a very small salon, and with two amazing master stylists, one of which has owned his own business. He's owned multiple salons, but he's had this legacy now for a good 13 years now. And he is a global educator and a master stylist, and every day that I walk into work, I leave with just a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more insight on my craft.
You consider him almost like a mentor?
He is definitely my mentor, 150,000%.
Good, man.
And
at least you found one. Some people don't even get that
I found
opportunity.
two. That's where I got lucky. You know,
Nice.
Melissa is great, and these two people hand in hand believe that I can do anything that I need to get to where I should be at this point in my life. And they believe in me. And it's because of them that I'm able to stand on my 2 feet today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful every day.
Bring it back to ground level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good for you. dude.
And I couldn't be happier. And I'm excited through what you're doing here today and tomorrow and the next day. This is fun.
This has been quite a journey.
Yes.
This has been quite a journey.
Definitely.
Well, listen, dude, I'm probably going to have to wrap it up here.
I totally understand.
Anything else you want to add?
The one thing that I can say is anybody that's listening that's struggling, keep going. And people that aren't struggling, that are just listening to hear somebody else's story and insight, enjoy. And I will see you all at the top.
Said like a true prodigy, man.
You know it.
You got it, bud. Dave, I want to thank you for coming on, man. You were awesome.
Thank you so much for having me, Conrad.
All right, bud.
All right.
All right, everyone. That's the podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening to the Victory Loves Company podcast. I'm Conrad Agdarian. Please check us out on our social media handles at VLC Podcast. And of course, if you have any questions or suggestions for upcoming shows, please email us at thevictorypodcast@gmail.com. And I'll talk at you next week.